Hello everybody and welcome to week 2 of our Flip Learning Evo session for 2019. We are going to work on flexible environment this week. We decided to work on the pillars of Flip Learning, so each one of our weeks in the Evo session are going to be framed under one of the pillars of flipping. This time is flexible environment. Let's get started. During this week, you will watch the video about the first pillar of Flip Learning, flexible environment, and complete task 1, which is exactly what you're doing right now. You're going to revise the resources about mindset and complete task 2. You are going to learn how in-class flip and HyperDocs are flexible learning and complete task 3. And we have 2 optional tasks. One of them is to take a look at the videos where the moderators share their planning style and reflect on your planning style, and then take part of the Sunday webcast on January 27th. We know that might sound like a lot of work, but trust us, we have put all of our effort in order to make an dynamic and unforgettable experience for you, so bear with us. So, looking at the flexible classroom that we see in the picture, I think we all drool as teachers because we do not have that in our settings. However, flexible environments are not necessarily about the physical space, but the multiplicity of learning experiences required in a classroom due to the variety of students and their needs. Taking into consideration Carol Tomlinson's definition of differentiated instruction, differentiating is catering for students' needs and modifying content, product, and process in order to make all students feel included in our lesson. So if we do that, we might need to move some chairs around, but it doesn't mean that we need a super Google Classroom to be able to have a flexible environment in our class. Let's take a look at the definition of the pillar and the indicators. So, Flip Learning allows for a variety of learning modes. Educators often physically rearrange their learning spaces, yes, that's true, to accommodate a lesson or unit to support either group work or independent study. But something pretty important for us to think about is, even if we don't have a flexible classroom, we can have a flexible environment. Sometimes we have static rooms with chairs screwed to the floor, or sometimes we have the availability of moving chairs and or maybe even taking students outside. Okay, it doesn't matter. Regardless of what you can have a flexible environment. They create flexible spaces in which students choose when and where to learn, or they learn. So this is one of the greatest things about Flip Learning, and it also happened with blended learning. You know, when we started adding technology to the formula, pervasive learning became possible, and so we can create these spaces where students choose what to do and where to go. This sounds very much like in-class flip, so we are going to go a little bit in depth into in-class flip during this week for you to see another perspective. Furthermore, educators who flip their classes are flexible in their expectations of students' timelines for learning and in their assessments of student learning. So if you are a flipped educator, you are not going to be tied on dates, on deadlines, etc. I mean, don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean that you're going to lose all structure in your course. That's not it. What it means is that you're going to be flexible in your expectations. You're going to understand that you have different learners who take learning at different paces, and you are going to adapt your class and content to those different learners. So the indicators of Flip Learning, we have different number of indicators for each pillar. For flexible environment, we have 3. First is I establish spaces and time frames that permit students to interact and reflect on their learning as needed. Then we have I continually observe and monitor students to make adjustments as appropriate. And then we have I provide students with different ways to learn content and demonstrate mastery. So let's see each one in detail. First of all, I establish spaces and time frames that permit students to interact and reflect on their learning as needed. So think about your class. Think about what you already do. Do you give students room for telling you how class is going? We normally do that midterm, final, right? But here, if we are in a flipped environment, we're going to do that more often, okay? Students have many different ways to reflect on their learning as needed. We can have an activity that involves metacognition and some very direct questions about the learning process within a class setting. We can do that with, for example, a hyperdoc. You're going to see that also in detail in this week. We can also have exit slips in the classroom for students to write a reflection on how things went and how they felt. Or we can embed them in our course platform, where they have access to our resources. So the thing is to have reflection in mind when you're planning your lesson, and to think of a way to have students wonder and tell you about how their learning is going. Also, interaction needs to be a great space, a great part of flipping. So when you see the in-class flip and the hyperdoc, you're going to see the sharing are always part of a lesson, that mingling, getting together, constructing, collaborating, cooperating are just keywords in flipped learning. Second indicator, I continuously observe and monitor students to make adjustments as appropriate. This is a great indicator. I am a big fan of classroom research, and so this is basically that. If you have a class that you have planned carefully, if you have new resources that you're implementing, if you have this new technique, new approach that you're using in your class, well, you take notes of how things are going, and then you have your research, right? So it's crucial to have a little notebook, to have your phone, a chart or a clip chart, something that you walk around your classroom and you observe students. When students are doing the work in an in-class flip or in a lesson, it's not the time to go to the bathroom. It's the time to observe them, to look at them, to take notes on what they're doing, and to use those notes to enrich your planning and your design. 3, I provide students with different ways to learn content and demonstrate mastery. Absolutely, we all do. So we generate videos. We give them this kind of videos that we're giving you here in our session. Or we give them readings, we give them enhanced readings using sites like Actively Learn or Insert Learning. We give them podcasts, audios, PowerPoint presentations with annotations. We give them PDF files, etc. So it's like we give them textual, oral, visual, and different ways to access the content and to demonstrate mastery. Not only a quiz or a test, but projects, tasks. We give them the possibility to show us that they have learned through a reflection or through a presentation, etc. So that's it, kind of flexibilizing your mind in process, in content, and in product, as Tomlinson would say it. Here we have some samples of how some of the moderators do the flexible environment in their own settings. So for example, here, this is Jeff and his team at Oregon TESOL in 2017 doing an in-class flip. So as you can see, people are organized in small teams. Some of them are taking a look at a paper, others are checking out the computer, they have headphones on. So as you can see, they are all doing different things, so ways to make things flexible. Here we have Martha's in-class flip on compound sentences. So as you can see, there are posters on the wall. So for example, Martha does that. She has mini posters and instead of videos for her students to access to the content sometimes. So that's another way in which you can make your environment flexible. Also here, these are my students taking a look at a hyperdoc in class. So for example, this student is here on this part of the grammar video, but this student over here is already working on something else. So we give flexibility to those students who are faster or slower, they can move in the lesson as they please. And here we have Birgit's in-class flip. There are some small groups here working on different tasks. Okay, so think about your classroom. How would your classroom look like at the end of the week? So this week's reflections have cute names. Task 1 is flexible space. We're inviting you to, after watching this video, take a picture of your own space and upload it into the Google Plus community and tell us about it. Task 2 is flexible mind. We're going to explore mindsets So the growth of the fixed mindset and the innovator's mindset, that are some resources on Anvil. We're asking you to explore those sources and then come to the Google Plus and reflect on your mindset, or the flipped learning mindset. Task 3 is flexible practice. So here we share Martha's and mine in-class flip and HyperDocs takes. So we want to invite you to see what we do, and then on the Google Plus, think about how you could integrate those into your own teaching. And then task 4 is an optional task, and it's flexible planning. Here, all the moderators have prepared some videos about the way in which they plan their lessons, their flipped lessons, and so we invite you to watch as many as you can, because the more the merrier. And so you will see all of our planning styles and see then which one you identify more with and which one you could maybe try, so that you can tell us about yours, which is your planning style, okay, on the Google Plus. So this week is very promising. I hope you stay with us, and I hope after watching this video you still want to do some more work. Okay, thank you very much.